right, so you get to Machinima. How do you get to Machinima?
Yeah, so eventually Machinima is this upstart internet entity, right? It's nothing big. Machinima is Red versus Blue and Freeman's Mind, basically, and Inside Gaming.
Was Inside Gaming before Respawn?
Yeah.
Who was that? Kale?
Kovic. I don't know.
Kovic?
Yeah, Kale.
Mr. Adam Kovic.
Kale had been there a long time. Kovic was like in the first 5 people to work at Machinima, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. But
also, he's like a billionaire.
No, backs of slaves, remember.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So what happened is Machinima was kind of like this rebel entity, and everyone who really played, like everyone who's a diehard gamer knew about what they were doing. And so you'd watch stuff like, I remember watching C-Nanner's videos before I ever knew. I used to call him the educated gamer because he always sounded so, hello everyone. Like, now I'm, now I've got my gunship and they're about to not have a good time on Afghan. I don't know why he sounds like Barack Obama. Accents are my thing, dude.
He does sound like that, though. You did a really good impression of him.
So what happened is some people that were, perpetually the rotation of layoffs and, whatever, they'd gotten booted off of G4. They ended up over at Machinima. And they sort of were like, hey, we know this guy back on X-Play who'd be good over here.
The internet was made for this guy, is what I would have said.
Right. Well, and that's what they really did like pursue. It was kind of cool. They kind of like poached. It wasn't legally poaching, but even though that did come up later as a thing twice. G4 was like, dude, you're poaching because enough people had gone to Machinima.
Yeah.
Especially after me. So they accused me of
leading the charge. Being Moses.
Yeah. And then that happened later when I left Machinima. I got the same thing.
Yeah.
But it was very funny how G4 was this aging, rotten fruit in the fridge, and Machinima was like this new papaya. And then by the time I left, G4 is this rotten, shitty papaya, and I'm leaving to do my own shit, right? I'm a beautiful Kiwi.
Your hair looks like a Kiwi. It's fucking good.
So they brought me over, and I got so much shit from the G4 people, like, dude, you're working on TV here. Yeah. And you are going to the internet, and that is just viewed as a step backwards. They were like, what a step backwards. Yeah. And I'm like,
it was worse than going back to radio.
Yeah, totally.
I know.
Well, I mean, in their eyes, but it's like, but how many eyes are you getting? And how many eyes are they getting? Yeah. Dude, G4, you don't know about Hurl, right?
No.
You guys probably, some of you guys do. G4 put out a show called Hurl, and it's a show where you eat. It's an eating contest. Yeah. And then you go on something that's supposed to make you throw up, right? Okay. And I forget the exact rules. I think it's like the last person to puke wins or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So who's going to watch this show? People who are into puke humor. Yeah. That's already a pretty narrow audience, but then they censored out the puke. So now you've made a show, like an actual show that science would have conceived of for nobody. Yeah. Right? Like scientists would be like, we've done it. Yeah. We've made a show that zero people will be interested in. And when they released it, the ratings, the TV ratings, it was 0, which means, I think that means less than 1,000 people watched it. So it didn't even, the meter didn't even
No.
No. And I've never heard of that on any show, ever. Yeah. I've never heard of a show.
I mean, imagine the odds of people flipping through the channel in those times. The fact that not 2,000 people in all of America were able to synchronize their controller past a certain thing to bump that beep a little bit. That is insane. They couldn't make that happen even if they tried.
No. And they were trying to make a hit. God, G4 sucked. Anyway. Yeah, and then they're giving me shit about moving to Machinima. So I move over to Machinima to help into the capacity of creative director at Respawn. So the idea initially was I would be on camera, but it wouldn't be maybe in like doing what people now think of. Because what was happening was gameplay commentary was blowing up.
Yeah, around 2010?
So this is the like the bottom third of 2009, right?
Okay,
Summer on. And what was happening is the Machinima channel was getting like clogged, right? So they have all their animations, their Red versus Blues, their Freeman's Mines, all that. And then there's gameplay. And there's obviously like, you know, like a competition, like the animators are like, well, there's all this lazy shit you're doing, but people are loving watching it, and Machinima knows that they're onto something. And so they created Respawn to separate that. So the animation, the produced stuff goes over here, and the gameplay stuff goes over here.
I used to love it when they uploaded my videos to the main channel.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Because they had such a huge audience at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they brought me in to basically they knew that there would be tons of videos going up on Respawn. Tons. And so they wanted me to help do like call outs were a big thing back then.
Yeah.
They wanted me to do what they called a hub show, where every week or every, you know, some odd days we would do a thing and we would point you to what's hot and what's up and coming or whatever. Hey, you guys might like this, you might like that, here's why, and you know, whatever. So that's initially what I was brought in to do, because there was no creative directing what was going on to the channel.
Yeah.
Everyone was doing that on their, like, doing their own thing. They just brought me in to sort of be like the
captain, the tourist, the tour guide.
The tour guide for the viewer. Yeah. And yeah, that's where that went. Eventually they hired Hutch, which was another kind of watershed moment where a guy had, at the time, that was a big deal because it was sort of like a step up in legitimacy, and even though he should have stayed at home. Yeah. Yeah. I told him, dude, I'm like, he's like, this is what I'm going to ask for. And I'm like, double that. He's like, no, that's too crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, and he didn't. Stupid idiot.